Hey guys, I've got a quick riddle before today's video. What do spiders and volcanoes have in common? The answer? You're closer to one than you think. Jokes aside, I'm going to talk about some deadly airborne threats caused by volcanic eruptions. If you've been watching the coverage of the Kilauea eruptions, or if you live there or another volcanically active area, you probably know about Vog and Laze. These words are both a portmanteau, or if you're not French, a Frankenstein word. Vog is a compilation of the words volcano and smog, or volcanic off-gassing, while laze refers to lava haze. The word Vog sometimes refers to the pollution caused by coal-fired power plants, which can contain many of the same chemical compounds. But in this case, it refers to the gases produced by a volcanic eruption. These often include carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and aerosolized droplets of acids like hydrochloric and sulfuric acid. These are very nasty chemical compounds, all of which are toxic to humans. Laze is somewhat more dangerous because while it contains all the same things as Vog, it's created when lava flows hit the seawater directly. This vaporizes toxin and carcinogen containing seawater, and it also aerosolizes volcanic glass. Usually, volcanic glass comes in the form of things like Pele's hair, which forms when eruptions happen explosively. This is usually only dangerous when you handle it because it shatters and shards of glass get stuck under the skin. But aerosolized volcanic glass in layers can be breathed in, and your body's natural processes don't remove it right away. It's very hazardous. So this will help a lot of people understand why it's so dangerous to be near volcanic sites and where lava is hitting the water, aside from just the obvious heat. Let's take a look at some of the precautions that we can take to protect ourselves from the airborne pollution caused by volcanic activity. Now, common things like paper filter masks or Vog masks are very good for protecting you from particulate matter like smoke and some of the volcanic glass, but it's important to remember that particulate matter of a submicron size needs to be protected against with properly rated equipment. It's also important to remember that fiber filter masks are not meant to protect you from organic vapors and from acid droplets. So it's important to look at the manufacturer's specifications and pick personal protective equipment that is rated for the threats that you will be exposed to. Most of these compounds are eye irritants, so if you are going to be in a heavily polluted area, it's important to remember to wear eye protection, and this includes ceiling goggles that actually protect your eyes from any airflow. Like I said, distance will be the best way to protect yourself from these threats, and that may include taking an evacuation vacation, like many people are forced to do in wildfire areas. If circumstances do compel you to remain in a heavily polluted area, I strongly advise that you research the personal protective equipment that is properly rated for the threats you will be exposed to, and consider sealing and purifying the environment inside of your home so that you have a safe space to return to each day. I do advise anybody that wants to seal their home in a heavily polluted area to research home moisture concerns, as these will arise when you change the airflow of your home. So, aside from the airborne hazards related to volcanic activity, I'd like to take a minute and just address some of the threats that people near volcanic activity may also want to be concerned with. It's important to remember that when you explore volcanic activity, you take your life into your own hands. Molten stone, bursts of hot air, and deadly gases can still be threats up to hundreds of feet away from visible danger. It's also important to remember that fresh lava rock like pumice is very unstable. Sometimes it's the cotton candy of the earth. It can collapse beneath your feet, causing death or injury. It's also important to remember that the gases that were mentioned before are mostly denser than air, and most of them are colorless and some of them are odorless. It's very possible to walk into a low terrain area like a gully or ravine and to become unconscious before you realize the threat. This has often led to death in explorers throughout history, and events like limnic eruptions, like the one at Lake Nyos in Cameroon, have caused the deaths of thousands of people in low-lying areas. So a summary of some of the threats and your responses around volcanic activity. Volcanic activity produces multiple airborne threats, including gases, which will dissipate, and various other forms of particulate matter, which will not and can remain coherent for up to miles from their source. There are physical dangers, like hot lava and unstable ground, as well as the potential for tsunamis if offshore underground activity occurs. It's also important to remember that volcanic activity can be the cause of wildfire activity if it occurs in a forested area. It's important to remember that all of the air pollutants that I've mentioned in this video become captured in rainfall and can then contaminate crops, surfaces, catchment water systems, and the groundwater itself. So that's something that's important to consider before exposing yourself. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that it's been informative or helpful for somebody. Hope you'll stay tuned with Let's Talk About Prepping. Everybody have a good day.